many of you miss your kindergarten days, when the greatest concerns that we had in life were having the biggest crayons in class, or the yummiest tiffin boxes, or having your favorite cartoon characters plastered onto your backpacks? When problems in life were, "Ma'am, he stole my pencil," or "I can't seem to find my favorite golden star stickers." I don't know about you, but as for me, I definitely miss those good old days. Those happy-go-lucky times where we had no imposing limitations, no restrictions, no schedules whatsoever. We were free to be ourselves. We could express ourselves without apprehension of our relatives or acquaintances, experiencing a sense of freedom. Now, the reason I took you along with me through a journey of the past was to acquaint you with an activity that will lead us to the heart of our topic. As kindergartners and toddlers, one of the first things that we learned to recite was the alphabet. Remember? So the activity goes something like this. I say a letter of the alphabet, and I want you to think about the first word that comes to your mind. So, A for, B for, C for, and D for. Now, if you thought A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, and D for dog, all I can say is, how strange. Wondering why? See, I never really told you what words to correspond to what letters, but the majority of the audience in this room thought about the same exact things. My question to you is, why? What makes you share the same thoughts and responses as your companions on your left and right? What makes you think inside the box? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a very warm good evening to one and all. I am Nora Jacob, a proud Birlite of grade 11. The topic that I have chosen for my talk today is outside the box to stride upon the untraveled roads. May I ask you a question? What does it mean to think inside the box? I'll tell you a story. So about 8 years ago, I had the opportunity of attending a circus in my hometown of Kerala. The atmosphere was electrifying. The place was teeming with excitement, resonant sounds of music, laughter, and applause. Parents tightly grasped onto the hands of their children to navigate through the bustling crowd. The eyes of every visitor sparkled with a childlike awe and innocence. And in marched the grand procession of animals, led by the acrobats, gymnasts, and the ringmaster in full grandeur. They took their places on stage, and the show began. Now, as the show progressed, I was able to notice something quite intriguing. All of the animals were tethered to the ground or confined in cages, except for one sad, lonely little elephant. I wondered why. I assumed maybe they are trained to be that way. But later, realization dawned upon me. Turns out, these young circus elephants are tightly tethered to the ground by ropes and chains to restrict any sort of movement. Soon, they get used to this limited freedom. They don't even realize that they're free when they don't have a rope on their legs. They don't discern their freedom because they are held captive inside their own minds. And this is exactly what it means to think inside the box. From our childhood, we are taught how to think, how to solve problems in the inflexible structure of the textbooks. Our innocent questions deemed silly by our parents. And like that, we form the box. We form the box around what we think our limits are. Now, what does it mean to think outside the box? I know this phrase has crossed your paths countless times, and the Wikipedia definition goes something like this. To think outside the box means to think differently or from a new perspective, to think differently. What does it mean to think differently? And why should we think differently? Let's debunk these questions step by step. Firstly, what does it mean to think differently? To think differently implies a deviation from the conventional method of thinking or the pre-developed method of thinking. We live in a world where if one person does something, everyone else follows suit, without even questioning or trying to do something different. A sort of herd mentality where everyone follows the majority. For example, consider what you have done in the past couple of days, weeks, months, or years that wasn't a part of your usual routine. Have you set foot into any unexplored realms? Have you explored any new areas of interest? Have you intentionally decided to discover or learn about something new? If you answered no, then you haven't been thinking outside the box. Thinking differently helps us to explore different ideas and come up with our own. Think about it. Every single thing in this room was the result of someone thinking differently. From the supremacy of the sun being the only source of light to the incandescent bulbs invented by Thomas Alva Edison. From the first telephone invented by Alexander Graham Bell to the iPhones invented by Steve Jobs. From the primitive wheel to the Teslas and Ferraris that we love and admire today, they were all the products of thinking differently. We now inhabit the 21st century, a block of history that constantly changes with ever-expanding problems, discoveries, threats, and inventions. In such a world that is brimming with change and challenge, what have we done to challenge the world? What have we done to shake the cores of our beliefs and come up with something new? What are we doing? It is truly something worth profound contemplation. Now, why should we think differently? To solve problems, to broaden perspectives, to bring about something new. If all the world were composed of black and white, where would the variety be? Where would the beauty be? There is a beauty in being able to think differently, to think outside the box and walk upon those untraveled roads. We live in imperfect societies that face numerous number of problems, and often we approach these problems the same way as anyone else. Thinking outside the box brings change. It makes life exciting. We must engage with society and constantly challenge it with questions to watch the world becoming a better place. Let me give you a simple riddle. There were 4 animals. There was a monkey, a giraffe, an elephant, and a lion. And there was 1 banana tree. Which animal do you think would reach the banana tree first? Now, most of the people that I asked this question replied with monkey. But what about the giraffe that can use its long neck? Or the elephant that can use its good old trunk? Or the lion that can powerfully slash at the trunk of the tree to send a whole stalk of bananas tumbling down? There is never just one right answer to any question. A single problem can have n number of solutions. Thinking outside the box helps us to broaden our perspective. It helps us to see the same things from different angles. It helps us in combating problems with solutions that benefit everyone. Thinking outside the box helps us to stand out in a world where everyone strives to reach for the top. If everyone were to have the same thoughts and ideas, what would make you different? What would make you, you? Oscar Wilde said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is taken." So, if you think of a world of our color or your favorite comfort food having just one flavor, where would the originality be? Thinking outside the box makes you original, even if it elicits raised eyebrows or comments that mock you for having it. It is totally worth it. Now, let's travel back in time about 120 years ago. It's just the beginning of the 20th century, and someone asks you, can humans fly? We would laugh at them, mock them, ridicule them even. I mean, come on, humans fly? It was impossible, unthinkable, unimaginable, but not for two brothers. On 17th December 1903, two brothers proved the whole world wrong, and they were the Wright brothers. They took their first flight on that very day. Now, this did not just happen overnight, but it was a combination of a bunch of way out there ideas that helped to make the impossible possible. They say great minds think alike, but I would say great minds think different. Thinking outside the box helps us to rediscover and redefine ourselves. Robert Frost, in his poem, The Road Not Taken, said, I took the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. We don't have forever on this planet, just a few more years or decades to live by and explore. How will you leave a mark in this world if you are to be the same as everyone else? How will you leave behind a legacy that is unique to you and only you? Allow me to pose a question before you. Are you a flea in a jar? Confused? Perplexed? Don't be. Let me walk you through the flea theory. Now, this was an experiment conducted where a bunch of fleas were trapped inside a glass jar with the lid tightly fastened. These fleas tried to escape by hopping, jumping, flying around chaotically in the jar, but alas, with no escape. The jar is left undisturbed for a period of 3 days, and after that, the lid of the jar is taken off. Now, you and I might expect the fleas to swiftly escape their prison of 3 days. But what actually happens is quite puzzling, disheartening even. See, these fleas got so used to their prison of 3 days that even after the lid was taken off, they did not even try to fly higher than the level of the lid. They spent their whole lives trapped inside the outline of this invisible jar. So let me ask you again, are you a flea in a jar? How can you and I be outside the box thinkers? I'll put it forward to you in 3 simple steps. Firstly, understand that there is a box. See, you and I might not even realize that there is a box that we tend to trap ourselves in. So the first step to thinking outside this box is to acknowledge this box. Contemplate on what limits you from unlocking your full potential. Are you afraid of what people might think? Or do you not believe in yourself and your ideas? Always remember that unless you believe in yourself, nobody else will. So acknowledge the box and take the firm decision you want to get out. Moving on. Be open to new ideas and perspectives. The second step to thinking outside the box is to have a judgment-free and accepting mind. It may seem hard to accept point of views that are different from your own, but as you do, you will be able to see the world change. You will be able to broaden the horizon of your perspective. And lastly, ask questions. Imagine a world where everyone strives to be one bit better than themselves in everything that they do. People ask, why? Why not? How? What if? That would be an ideal utopia. You have to believe that you, yes you, have the power to come up with ideas that could change the whole world. Break away from the quotidian routines and limits that you set for yourself and think. Think, think, and think. Cast aside the shackles of your mind and watch it leading you to beautiful destinations and even more beautiful journeys. So take the chance and dare to do something different. In this room lies someone with powerful minds, but they can't think. They are like robots with pre-developed programs and a limit to their capabilities. Within the confines of this space lies someone who can rewrite the course of history. Within this room lies someone who can shake the foundations of tomorrow. What is stopping you from thinking differently? What is stopping you from combating problems with new and innovative solutions? Break away from the cages and fly. Choose to fly outside the cage, outside the box, to stride upon those untraveled roads. Thank you.